Hey there folks, so welcome to Spectrum Pulse. We talk about music, movies, art and culture, and this is Billboard Breakdown. So come-down weeks are kinda weird. Sometimes they lead to a massive chart rebalance that drives an entire paradigm shift as the album smash leaves a few scattered recoveries and a whole lot of damage. Other weeks, well, they're kind of like this, where we get a few recoveries, a couple of new arrivals that are just peeking through, but overall a pretty quiet week where the fallout seems to be slowly ebbing back rather than outright falling away. And given that said album bombs came from Lil Uzi Vert or XXXTentacion, I think I might have preferred the former case when we got rid of it all at once. But yet, all of that takes away from the real turbulence that we got in our top 10, where for a second week, Look What You Made Me Do by Taylor Swift is holding on to number 1 and shows no signs of slowing down. Dominance in streaming, sales, YouTube, surging airplay. It looks like a lock for the number 1, and yet there's a part of me that can't help but feel that with its YouTube streams dipping back slightly, that it might be a bit more vulnerable than expected. Yeah, Bodak Yellow by Cardi B does not have the sales yet to be a challenger, but given its base strength is in streaming, and it is gaining on YouTube and airplay at more than I was expecting, I would not count this song out as a contender just yet. Sadly, that means we are counting out Despacito by Louis Fonsi, Daddy Yankee, and the remix with Bieber down to number 3. Because even despite still massive sales and consistent YouTube, the radio is burning it off ridiculously fast, as you would expect for a really big summer song. But then we have our big debut in the top 5 at number 4, Ready For It? By Taylor Swift. Now, I'll get more into the song's dubious quality at the end of the show, but suffice to say that I can't really help but see its release as being so close to Look What You Made Me Do is kind of risky, as it pulls away sales attention, and despite nowhere close to the same airplay or YouTube traction, it'll probably drop out of the top 10 pretty quick. That could potentially split the singles market early. And then we got the massive traction behind 1-800-273-8255 by Logic featuring Alessia Cara and Khalid. And while radio is still taking its time to get on board, YouTube sales, especially streaming, are not. I would put money on this actually sticking around. Now, what this means is that the rest of our top 10 are all being driven back. Wild Thoughts by DJ Khaled featuring Rihanna and Bryson Tiller down to number 6 thanks to a radio peak this week. Attention by Charlie Puth holding steady at the top of the radio charts but losing everywhere else down to number 7. Believer by Imagine Dragons making a too little too late recovery on streaming as it falls down to number 8. Unforgettable by French Montana featuring Sway Lee sputtering back to number 9 thanks to steady losses in all categories. And There's Nothing Holding Me Back by Shawn Mendes down to number 10, losing the top charts in airplay with similar behavior to Believer. Minor streaming gains, real losses everywhere else. And on that note, our losers and dropouts. I can't exactly say that I'm pleased with our 3 major dropouts though, given that I'm a fan of all 3 songs. It Ain't Me by Kygo and Selena Gomez. Where is that Kygo album now? And DNA and Love by Kendrick Lamar, the latter case featuring Zakari, and those were both really good songs. Thankfully, our losses are all pretty agreeable. Both Revenge and Everybody Dies in Their Nightmares from XXXTentacion down to 96 and 70 respectively, and from Lil Uzi Vert we had 444 plus 222 to 79, X to number 93, and Neon Guts with Pharrell to 94. And now the only other loser is No Such Thing as a Broken Heart by Old Dominion to 59, and I was never really a big fan of that song to begin with. But that's unfortunately where our good news must end, because then we get to our new arrivals and gains, and it's a much rougher list. No, I'm not going to complain that Reminder by The Weeknd made yet another return to 99, and I Can Use a Love Song by Maren Morris. That's a fine enough play for country radio right now at 92. I can see it doing well. But did we really need Somebody Else Will by Justin Moore back at 98? Or Fix a Drink by Chris Jansen back to 95? Hell, forget about country for a second. Why is Chris Brown's Questions back at 89? Or Relationship by Young Thug and Future back to 90? Which again, that's more of a question than anything Chris Brown asks on his song. It's the gains though that are more of a confusing mess, with the only real debut that's picking up a lot of steam coming from What Lovers Do by Maroon 5 featuring SZA at 27. No surprise if you see its sales. But then you have the really sharp recoveries from losses that last week, which on the one hand can be pretty good, with It Ain't My Fault featuring Brothers Osborne rebounding to 83, or Wish I Knew You by The Revivalists up to 84, but then you have The Race by Tay K somehow rebounding to 44, proving that I really can't tell where a meme is properly dead. I just wish this one was dead at the end of it. Beyond that, Jacquees' BED up to 69 was the only other real reversal, with the rest not being all that surprising in the gains department. I Get the Bag by Gucci Mane featuring Migos up to 31 on being a halfway decent song with good streaming. Havana by Camila Cabello featuring Young Thug continues up to 73. This will be a hit, I can nearly guarantee it, I got that feeling. And then we got 3 country songs. Every Little Thing by Carly Pearce, otherwise known as The Good One, up to 78. More Girls Like You by Kit Moore, otherwise known as The Passable One, up to 82, probably buoyed by the album. And They Don't Know by Jason Aldean, the sort of pandering garbage that really does not need to rise up to 76. But for now, for a short week for a change, let's get through our new arrivals. Starting off with number 100, No Fear by Dishonourable.
None of the gossip, nothing can stop us. I wanna love you with no fears. We can do this thing together. Close your eyes and take my hand. Cause what we have is something special, baby. Let's just take our chance. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Ooh, yeah, ooh, yeah.
You know, I'll be honest, I've never really known what to make of Loaf. From Detroit, you would expect that she would focus more on spitting bars, that's her city's reputation, but she's never really been impressive as a rapper in terms of flows, or content, or delivery, or even basic rhyme construction. Hell, I always thought her breakthrough single, Try Me, was closer to R&B than straightforward hip-hop. Now, none of it was precisely bad, sure, but it was nothing that I would ever since seek out. And ever since that song, a featuring credit with Kid Ink, and her big 2015 follow-up with Big Sean, Back Up, which, yeah, that song was fine enough. We're only now getting a crossover single for an album that's projected to be dropped in the 4th quarter of this year. That's some time away from her main breakout. And this single only gives me the impression that it's likely going to be winding up closer to R&B, and that's a really good thing, because this song is pretty damn great. Now, I could say this is really playing in territory that Jhené Aiko charted 3 years ago, especially in a lot of her delivery, but there's a world-weary, quiet sincerity that complements the gentle guitar-driven melodic groove that doesn't feel nearly as cutting, so it is a little bit more distinctive. And it works for this sort of love song. It's low-key, sure, but there's a great misty vibe in the production that complements the song really well. I'm definitely interested in hearing more of this, because yeah, this is really good. Great job, Loaf. I want to hear the album now. Number 97, Skywalker by Miguel featuring Travis Scott.
Like a friend, just enjoy the moment. I'm Luke Skywalking on these haters. Celebrate every day like a birthday. Things come to those that wait up. But don't wait to jump in too long. Don't sleep, you gotta stay up. Don't sleep, you gotta stay up.
And on the topic of R&B leaning artists that I haven't heard from in some time, we got the lead-off single from Miguel, teaming up with Travis Scott for a chilled-out flex anthem. And look, we were kind of spoiled in 2015 with Coffee, the sort of relentlessly tight R&B that Miguel really doesn't touch on as often as he should. But that's not saying that this doesn't have promise. The guitar tone that lingers against the thicker bass and the glittery flashes of synth, they certainly give the track some potent atmosphere, and Miguel's got the easygoing confidence to coast on this production really well. He sounds good, even if Travis Scott's verse feels kind of perfunctory overall. But some of these references and double entendres can be a little bit goofy, kind of cheesy. Skywalking on them haters, she vegan but she wants the steak tonight, higher up than Canada, and most amusingly given the subtext in the film, Top Gun on my Tom Cruise. Okay, look, this is an enjoyable enough song. If anything, I wish we could have this sort of thing charting at the beginning of the summer, not the end of it. But you know what Miguel has made better. It'll be interesting to see what inevitably shows up coming off the album. But you know what? It's still a good song. I like it. Number 86, Greatest Love Song by LANco.
We didn't know any better. Didn't have a clue about life. But I was what you wanted. You were what I needed. And we could meet in between. We were gonna be the greatest love story this town had ever seen.
So yes, despite the weird capitalization, it's an acronym that actually stands for Lancaster and Company, which frankly strikes me as a far better band name. They are actually a new country group signed to Arista Nashville, the label behind Brad Paisley. And given the decisions that he took on his last album, Love and War, that makes a lot of sense. And not just because Jay Joyce has further refined his production chops to deliver a primarily acoustic-driven neo-traditional ballad with plenty of steel guitar and windswept electric texture. And while the lyrics can feel a little bit hyperbolic at points, This really isn't the greatest love story probably even that the town has ever seen, but I can appreciate the gesture. It's kind of earnest enough. I do like that it's actually focused on telling a story of a high school love song that kind of fizzled. Then she went off to college, and after coming back to the old town, the sparks rekindled. So, okay, yeah, it's nothing at all out of the ordinary for a neo-traditional country love song, but it's a damn fine example of doing it well. I like the vocals, and yet another example of a tone that seems to be finally picking up more mainstream traction, which really can only be a good thing. Damn solid song. I approve. Want to hear more of this? Number 81, Bad at Love by Halsey.
But you can't blame me for trying. You know I'd be lying, saying you'll be the one. That could finally fix me. Looking at my history, I'm bad at love.
Why, Halsey? You had Strangers with Lauren from Fifth Harmony just waiting in the wings, a pretty damn good duet, and the timing to coincide with their most recent album for a crossover boost to boot, and yet you go with this? Okay, let's get the main issue out of the way first. That flat synth tune dragging over the bass and trap beat is incredibly grating, especially opposite those faint off-key tinkles that owe more to Melanie Martinez than anyone else. But like always, my issue comes with Halsey's writing, as she rattles off a string of guys and girls as evidence that she's bad at love, especially in the aftermath of another breakup. But in all of these situations, the list nature of the song and increasingly flimsy reasoning for the breakups made them feel kind of disposable to her. And with the mention of Halsey's jealousy, it makes all the more capricious feeling that anchors this song, which makes me feel a lot less sorry for her. If feelings fade away or the partner keeps trying to fix her when she doesn't need that, okay, look, that's not being bad at love, that's just not connecting with the right person, which yeah, that's a fact of life. And it's just kind of grating that Halsey just can't make that connection that shows a little bit more maturity. Look, okay, she's made worse songs, but this doesn't rise past mediocre in my books, and all the more reason why I don't go back to that album. Just saying. Number 77, These Heaux by Bhad Bhabie. This is the second time this girl, otherwise known as Danielle Bregoli, otherwise known as the Cash Me Outside girl from Dr. Phil, has wound up in the Hot 100. And at this point, it's not even a meme anymore, but a girl finding a way to stretch her 15 minutes. So no, I'm not doing the meme review. And at this point, I don't even really know who to blame for this. Kodak Black for plugging her first time after the meme took off, her producers and the managers that gave her a rinky-dink set of shallow synths and rickety trap percussion to work with, the fact that for some ungodly reason, Jake Paul saw fit to give this girl a co-sign because of course he goddamn did. But really, larger issues that the song just blows chunks. Bregoli's voice rivals Krayshawn's in pure annoyance, and yet with none of the satirical edge or shade of intelligence. And her content is a sort of ugly, by-the-numbers flexing that forces rhymes and offers nothing new or interesting. The most I'd say is that she can at least connect some of her rhymes together, but if there's a song that's trying to pick up all the swagger of Bodak Yellow and failing to say nothing of any of the groove, it's this one. And yet, it's got competition for Worst of the Week, cause finally we got number 4. Ready for it by Taylor Swift.
You should see the things we do, baby. In the middle of the night, in my dreams. I know I'm gonna be with you, so I'll take my time. Are you ready for it?
Let me get this out of the way. This is at least marginally more tolerable than Look What You Made Me Do. But that's also because it's a lot less interesting. Jacking the gurgling bass from the hills that can't be bothered to blend well with the cymbal and some hollow keys. We get Taylor's vocals clumsily inserted, but she's got neither the right vocal tone or multi-tracking to convincingly hold her own here. Maybe she needs to be a little bit more to the front or a little bit louder, but right now she just sounds wispy and insubstantial going against that sort of bass line. But then we get to the content, which seems to be about bringing this new hard-edged guy into her world, and the narrative feels completely confused. First you're some phantom hanging over him that wants to keep him forever like a vendetta, because of course that's her attitude towards vendettas. Then a thief that steals hearts that she invites in the heist, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But then you say that you'll let him be your jailer and that you're so very tame now. When on your hook, you're all about challenging him whether he's ready to go for this game. Let the games begin. And I'll say it, if you gender flip the lyrics about dreaming about some girl that he knows that he's gonna be with, this could be very well playing to questionable territory, especially with the framing of this in other words. The song just screams of incompetence across the board. It reminds me a lot of what Jason Derulo did a couple years ago with In My Head. Wrong creative decision, one after the other. And yet I can't say it attracts more than just casual distaste from me. It feels like album filler more than anything. And for a second single, that might be more telling about what we'll get on Reputation, and that's not a good sign. But regardless of that, this week was a pretty even split. 3 good, 3 bad. For best, that's pretty easy. It's going to be No Fear by Loaf, with honorable mention going to Greatest Love Song by Lancaster and Company. I'm gonna go with the full name in the hopes that it might stick in the popular consciousness more than the LANco. Worst, yeah, I'm sorry, it's These Heaux by Bhabie. The sort of splitting headache of a song that only just edges out ready for a dishonorable mention. Next week, I expect more of the fallout from Lil Uzi Vert and XXXTentacion to continue, so let's stay tuned for that. But until then, I'm Mark, you're watching Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.